Hook in 1972, a company called Atari released a game so simple it had exactly two controls and one objective. That game generated over $100 million in its first year and single-handedly created an industry now worth over $220 billion annually. One rectangle, one dot, one moment, and the entire world changed forever. Tease in the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover the handful of games that did not just entertain people but fundamentally rewired how humanity thinks about storytelling, technology, competition, and even identity. We will look at the numbers, the breakthroughs, the moments that shocked the industry. And we will get to one game that experts almost never include on these lists, but which quietly changed more lives than almost any other title in history. Stay with us. Background: to understand what makes a game truly revolutionary, you first have to understand what video games were before revolution happened. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, computing was a tool for governments, universities, and corporations. The idea that a machine could be used purely for play was considered almost offensive in academic circles. Then Pong arrived. Atari did not invent the concept of digital tennis. That credit belongs to physicist William Higginbotham, whose Tennis for Two debuted on an oscilloscope in 1958. But Atari made it accessible, commercial, and culturally contagious. Pong normalized the idea that computers could live in your living room. It told an entire generation that the screen was not just a window for information but a space for experience. That psychological shift, from passive viewer to active participant, is the foundation on which everything else was built. Every game we are about to discuss accelerated that shift in ways nobody saw coming. Revolution in gaming does not always mean the best graphics or the highest sales. Sometimes it means a game introduced a mechanic the world had never seen. Sometimes it means a game reached an audience that had never been considered. And sometimes it means a game asked a question so uncomfortable that players could not stop thinking about it long after they put the controller down. Main content. Let us start with Doom, released by ID Software in December of 1993. Before Doom, first-person games existed, but they were sluggish, claustrophobic, and largely ignored by mainstream audiences. Doom changed that with terrifying speed. Within 2 years of release, Doom was installed on more computers worldwide than Microsoft Windows. Read that again. A video game outpaced the operating system that ran it. Doom did not just popularize the first-person shooter genre. It practically invented the modern concept of viral software distribution. ID Software released it as shareware, meaning anyone could download the first episode for free. Word spread through bulletin board systems and early internet forums at a pace nobody had predicted. The gaming industry learned something enormous from that experiment: give people a taste, and they will pay for the rest. But here is what nobody talks about. Doom also invented modding culture. ID Software released the game's source code tools and players immediately began building their own levels, their own enemies, their own stories. That single decision created a creative ecosystem that directly influenced everything from Half-Life to Minecraft to Roblox. The modding community became a talent pipeline for the entire games industry. Designers who learned their craft in Doom's editor went on to build some of the most celebrated games ever made. Now move forward 2 years to 1996. And consider what Super Mario 64 did to the concept of three-dimensional space. Before this game, 3D in gaming was largely a gimmick. Developers were translating flat, 2D design philosophies into 3D environments, and the results were disorienting and frustrating. Mario 64 solved this problem with one idea that seems obvious now but was genuinely radical at the time: the camera is a tool the player controls. Nintendo designer Shigeru Miyamoto and his team built an entire system around letting players manage their perspective. They also designed levels as playgrounds rather than corridors. You did not just move through a level in Mario 64, you inhabited it. The game sold over 11 million copies and became the blueprint for every third-person and open-world game that followed. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, released just 2 years later, took that spatial logic and applied it to narrative and puzzle design in ways that still hold up as a masterclass. It introduced Z-targeting, a lock-on combat system that became the standard for action games across the entire next decade. But more importantly, it proved that a video game could tell a genuinely moving story. Players reported feeling real grief at certain moments in that game. That emotional response from an interactive medium was new. It mattered enormously. By 2001, the industry was chasing spectacle. Games were getting bigger, louder, and more expensive. Then a small studio called Valve shipped something that whispered instead of shouted. Half-Life 2 arrived in 2004 and changed storytelling in games permanently. There are no cutscenes in Half-Life 2. Not a single one. Every story moment happens in real time in the game world, while you are standing there with full control of your character. That choice told players they were not just watching a story, they were living inside it. The game also introduced physics as a puzzle mechanic through the gravity gun, a device so intuitive and satisfying that designers are still borrowing it 20 years later. Half-Life 2 won over 39 Game of the Year awards. It currently holds one of the highest review scores in the history of the medium. Now here is the entry that most lists skip entirely, and it deserves serious attention. In 2007, Nintendo released Wii Sports alongside the Wii console. Critics at the time treated it as a novelty, a tech demo, a gimmick for casual players. But look at what actually happened. The Wii reached demographics that had never touched a video game in their lives. Nursing homes purchased Wii consoles so elderly residents could play bowling together. Physical therapists used it for rehabilitation. Parents and grandparents who had zero interest in gaming found themselves playing alongside their children for the first time. The Wii sold over 100 million units. More importantly, it permanently expanded the definition of who a gamer is. That cultural broadening cannot be overstated. The games industry had been speaking to the same narrow demographic for 30 years. Wii Sports kicked the door open. Deep dive: consider what Minecraft accomplished starting in 2009. Marcus Persson built the initial version in 6 days. There were no objectives, no enemies at first, no story. It was essentially a digital sandbox made of cubes. Publishers would have rejected it instantly. Persson released it directly to players, and by the time Microsoft purchased the franchise in 2014, they paid $2.5 billion for it. Minecraft currently has over 150 million monthly active users. It is the best-selling video game in history with over 238 million copies sold. But the revolutionary part is not the numbers. It is the fact that Minecraft became an educational platform used in over 115 countries. Teachers use it to teach history, mathematics, architecture, and coding. A game with no story became one of the most powerful learning tools on the planet. Analysis: what do all of these games have in common? Each one identified a wall that the industry had built around itself, and walked straight through it. Pong made games domestic. Doom made them distributed. Mario 64 made space livable. Half-Life 2 made stories embodied. Wii Sports made players of people who never wanted to be players. Minecraft made creation the game itself. The pattern is consistent. The most revolutionary games did not compete within the existing rules. They rewrote the rules entirely and forced everyone else to catch up. There is also a deeper truth here about the nature of revolution in any creative industry. None of these games were guaranteed successes at launch. Doom was widely considered too violent to succeed commercially. Wii Sports was dismissed by hardcore audiences as too simplistic. Minecraft looked unfinished for years. The people who changed the industry looked wrong to the industry at the time they were changing it. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Pixel Pulse for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.